Ever feel like you woke up in a driver's seat, but someone like stole the steering wheel?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the feeling we're diving into today.
Okay.
That sense of being directionless,
Hmm.
of feeling adrift in your own life.
Right.
And trust me,
Yeah.
you are not alone.
It's such a common human experience, isn't it?
It really is.
But what's interesting is that this feeling of being lost,
Yeah,
it isn't always about some huge, like, life-altering crisis.
that's so true.
Right.
The podcast we're exploring actually dives into this idea of navigating the loss of direction in life.
Okay.
And it made me realize that these feelings can come from everyday situations too. It
Exactly.
doesn't have to be this big, massive thing.
Life transitions are a perfect example.
Yeah.
We often celebrate things like graduations, new jobs,
Mm-hmm.
even starting a family.
Sure.
But these are also huge shifts in identity and routine.
Totally.
It's only natural to feel a little lost in the midst of all that change.
Like you're handed this
Yeah.
shiny new map. Right.
But it's for a whole different terrain than you're used to navigating.
Exactly.
And the podcast host actually shares this really relatable anecdote
Okay.
about feeling this way in their own life,
Mhm.
specifically with their career.
Oh, yes. Their story about feeling stuck in a job that had become more about obligation than passion
Yes,
really highlights how easy it is to get caught in that cycle.
right.
Yep.
They talked about how they used to be so excited about their work,
Uh-huh.
but somewhere along the line it just became like a grind.
Which is such a common experience.
Oh, totally.
Especially in today's fast-paced world.
Yeah.
We glorify the hustle so much that we often forget to check in with ourselves
Oh, for sure.
and see if we're actually still aligned with what we're doing.
And it's not like you can just snap your fingers and magically change careers or life paths. It takes time.
Absolutely. And that's where the podcast really shines.
Okay.
Instead of offering these vague platitudes about like finding yourself.
Yeah. It gets really real about the steps involved in navigating those feelings of uncertainty
Okay.
and actually moving forward.
So walk us through it. What
Okay.
were some of the strategies they highlighted?
Well, they emphasized that it all starts with self-reflection,
Oh,
but not just in a surface level way.
deeper than just what do I want for dinner kind of reflection.
Exactly. They dove into the importance of reconnecting with your core values,
Okay.
those guiding principles that might have gotten lost in the daily grind.
Mm-hmm.
They even suggested a journaling exercise
Oh, wow.
where you imagine yourself as a child and reflect on what truly brought you joy.
Oh,
What sparked your curiosity back then?
I love that. It's
Right.
like taking a time machine back to a more authentic version of yourself
Exactly.
before life got complicated.
Precisely. And once you have a clearer sense of those core values,
Yeah.
it becomes easier to identify the areas in your life that might be out of alignment.
So let's say you've done the journaling.
Sure.
You've had those aha moments. And you're ready to actually make some changes. Where do you even begin?
This is where the podcast really gets practical.
Okay.
They introduce the concept of SMART goals.
Okay.
Have you heard of that framework before?
Vaguely, but refresh my memory.
Okay. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay.
So instead of setting a vague goal like find a new career,
Right.
you would break it down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. So,
Okay.
like, I will research 3 new career paths that align with my values by the end of the month.
Perfect example.
Okay.
Making your goals specific and time-bound,
Right.
like that increases your likelihood of actually achieving them.
Right.
And that sense of accomplishment,
Yeah.
no matter how small,
All right.
can be incredibly motivating when you're feeling lost.
Totally. It's like that feeling of finally finding your way out of a maze,
Yes.
even if it's just one turn at a time.
Exactly. And speaking of support, the podcast also emphasized the importance of not going through this process alone.
Which makes sense. It's easy to get stuck in your own head when you're feeling lost.
Absolutely. Talking to trusted friends, family members,
Sure.
or even a therapist
Yeah,
can provide valuable perspectives and emotional support.
for sure.
They might even see opportunities or solutions that you hadn't considered before.
They also might just remind you that it's okay to not have all the answers,
Oh, absolutely.
and that feeling uncertain is a normal part of life.
Exactly. And that in itself can be incredibly freeing
Yeah.
because when you release the pressure to have everything figured out,
Mm-hmm.
it opens up space for curiosity, experimentation,
Yeah.
and ultimately growth.
I like that. So it sounds like this podcast is really encouraging us to reframe those feelings of being lost.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it as a failure, we can see it as an opportunity for growth
Uh,
and rediscovering our path.
Precisely. It's like that quote, not all those who wander are lost.
Oh, I like that.
Sometimes those periods of uncertainty are what lead us to exactly where we need to be.
It's like taking the scenic route, right?
Sure.
It might not be the most direct path,
Right.
but you often discover hidden gems and unexpected detours that you never would have found otherwise.
Exactly. And sometimes those detours teach us more about ourselves than we could have ever imagined.
Oh, totally.
They challenge us to step outside of our comfort zones,
For sure.
to try new things, and to develop new skills.
So if we want to distill everything we've discussed into some key takeaways for our listener,
Okay.
what would those be?
Well, first and foremost, remember that feeling lost is a normal part of the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you failed or that something is wrong with you.
Right.
It's simply a signal that something needs to change.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And to figure out what needs to change,
Yeah.
we have to start with self-reflection.
Okay.
Dig deep into those core values,
Mm-hmm.
those things that light you up and make you feel truly alive.
Mm.
Journaling can be an incredibly powerful tool for this process.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to get really honest with yourself on those pages.
Oh, for sure.
Ask yourself those tough questions
Totally.
and really explore the answers that come up.
And once you have a better understanding of what truly matters to you,
Yes.
it's time to take action.
Yes.
Remember those SMART goals we talked about.
Exactly.
Start small.
Yes.
Be specific.
Absolutely.
And celebrate those wins along the way.
And don't forget about the power of your support system.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Talk to people you trust, share your struggles,
Yeah.
and be open to their perspectives and suggestions.
Yes.
You don't have to navigate this alone.
This entire deep dive has been incredibly insightful, and I think it's really shifted my perspective on what it means to feel lost.
Yeah.
It's not an ending,
Right.
it's a beginning.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
It's a chance to rewrite your story, to redefine what success and fulfillment mean to you,
Mm-hmm.
and to ultimately create a life that is more aligned with your authentic self.
So as you go about your day, your week, your life,
Yes.
remember this. What one small step can you take today to start moving towards that more authentic, more fulfilling version of yourself?
I love it.
And that's our deep dive for today.